Nicole Scott here from Mobile Geeks, and today I'm going to be talking about the Microsoft Lumia 950XL. This review has been a long time in the making, not only me actually reviewing it, but me waiting to do the review. I have been a long time Windows Phone user and a bit of a fangirl, so what they've released here, to me, is actually a little bit heartbreaking. Now, I'm going to go over the things that I loved about it, that are going to keep me using this phone maybe, and the things that are definitely driving me away. I may reserve pulling Windows Phone into my personal arsenal until I get the 950, because the 950XL, as I've talked to a few other people online who reviewed both, tell me that this phone performs significantly worse. Now, I'm going to get this out of the way. Yes, maybe after a few updates this phone will perform better, but at the same time, this isn't a beta program. Everyone should stop saying that. This is a phone that is being sold on the market today. Now, I know Windows fans are forgiving of a lot of things. I'm forgiving of a lot of things, but this phone just has one too many things that I can't forgive. Let's get into it. Sure, there have been changes to the OS, but the biggest change for me was the significant decrease in the quality of the hardware. Gone are the bold, amazing colors of the Nokia handset. No more do we have that rugged, sturdy feel that I could probably drop it from head height onto concrete, which I have done with some of the Nokia phones. And now I just have this, a piece of uninspired hardware that has cheap-feeling buttons and creaks. But you know what about this device doesn't feel budget? The display. It's Quad HD and it looks amazing. It has a clear back polarization filter for better daylight visibility, and the amount of text that you can pack onto the Windows Start screen, it's pretty impressive. So the fact that you have so much small text, it's really nice and clear. Pair that with inky blacks and heavy saturation that are common to OLED screens, and if you could see nothing else, you'd think that this was a premium handset. So now about the camera, there's a 20 megapixel pure view camera on the back. That's one of the things that I've always loved about Windows Phone, is that for the price point, you get an exceptional camera. Now, this was true a couple of years ago. With the significant gap that we've waited for in the hardware, other smartphone manufacturers have started coming out with amazing cameras. Now, one of the greatest things about this phone is that we have a dedicated camera button here. I wish a lot more manufacturers were including something like that for taking shots. So to Microsoft's credit, they've preserved the full suite of manual controls, and this is something that Nokia has done really, really well. You can set the ISOs all the way up to 3200. So now if you are a professional photographer, you will feel right at home using something like this. Unfortunately, if you're not, and you just want to take quick, snappy photos, there are better point and shoots out on the market. So now going through the photos, you do feel like things could be a little bit crisper. And then, if we head into low light shots, I had to sidelight this one with another phone in order to get something half decent. So here are just some general bar shots. So one of the things you can't help but notice in low light photography is that the colors are, in low light, just not sharp and in general kind of cool. I wouldn't say that this is more accurate to tone. This one's not that much better. Right? Although I was surprised at the amount of detail that I did see on that candle. The most futuristic feature of the phone is one that I'm just not fond of. Windows Hello lets you unlock the phone by hitting the unlock button and raising it to your face. The phone's infrared sensor matches your iris. It's cool, but it's not nearly as fast as putting your finger onto a fingerprint sensor and unlocking the phone. The stage where you hit the button to unlock the phone in order to raise it to your face is the time where you could have already had the phone open. The phone comes packed with 32 gigabytes of storage, 29 of which are available out of the box. You also have a microSD card slot that's good up to 200 gigabytes, and the slot for the SIM card sits under a removable back cover. It's got a 3,340 milliampere battery, which is also removable. Now, a couple of the other things that I had a hard time moving past was the absence of a couple of Lumia staples, like double tap to wake up. I love that feature, and I miss it on Android phones when I don't have it, so it shocks me that they didn't include it. And they kept things like at a glance. I like at a glance, but I like double tap to wake even better. The more and more time I spend with the phone, it's just a confusing mashup of things that are gone and legacy things that have remained. And then iOS features that seem to have snuck in, like this hamburger menu when you drop down the notification bar. That's one of the more annoying things from iOS that I wish they hadn't put in. And then there's things like the People Hub. Why are there circular icons on an all-square UI? Like, it doesn't even make any sense or look good. I'm a big fan of the Lumia UI. I think it's sleek and fast and it runs really well on lower spec hardware. You're never going to have any issues with calling this UI anything but buttery and smooth. I loved Windows Phone for work. If you need to use Excel or Word or PowerPoint, you really can't beat it. Still, moving on to the 950XL after a long sabbatical away from Windows Phone, it did feel like coming home, and it was comforting. There is a lot that I love about it. The UI definitely feels like it's from the future. It is very modern, and it is unlike any other UI that's currently there. The amount of information that's packed onto the start screen is just something that I really love. The heavy customization of that, which you think maybe isn't as customizable, when you really start getting into it, you can actually change around the live tiles and customize whatever information you want. The email client is excellent. It is beautiful. The only thing that kind of gets me about it is the fact that on Android, Google now offers priority inbox and it sorts my email for me. And since I am a Google girl when it comes to services, and of course, Cortana. How could I forget about my beloved Cortana? She is offering up information all over the place, and she's only getting smarter as time goes on. If you didn't know that I had a huge love affair with Cortana, I actually went on a date with her in New York to give you an idea of what things she's capable of doing and just how sassy she is. But as good as Cortana is, she is not good enough to fill the app gap. And it's only getting worse. Companies are actively pulling out their applications from the store. And this is because what Microsoft is planning in the future gives this platform a lot of potential. It's just not there now. So what's going to happen is the universal application, and Facebook and Instagram and Messenger are going to have a newly redesigned universal app thanks to Windows 10. And it's 110 million device install base that's currently on the market. So that's 110 million devices out there that your apps can potentially run on. And this is very attractive to developers, but it's not attractive to developers yet. You go into the Windows Store and it says this app is not compatible with this device. And a big reason behind that is the Windows Store is glitchy. Now, when I reviewed the Microsoft Surface Book, glitchy. The store is just glitchy. The apps don't download, sometimes they don't update, sometimes they don't open, sometimes the store crashes. I click on stuff and I end up at a black screen and I don't know why. Just not good enough. And when you need to download apps for the phone to do more things and you can't, it's unacceptable. The battery life also isn't what it needs to be. I can generally get through the day, but often I'll come back to the handset and then suddenly it's missing 20% of its battery. The standby time is not great. And if I forget to plug it in overnight, it'll definitely be dead in the morning. Now, telling me that there's going to be a software update that will maybe fix this just isn't good enough right now. Right? Your battery life is too important for maybe an update's going to come that's going to fix that. And why is it so beta? This is really finished hardware that's shipping onto the market. So it's actually not surprising to me that Amazon Germany has pulled the 950XL from the store. This is likely due to too many returns because the hardware is really crappy. Now, the silicon is different, the display is larger. Likely there have to be differences in the OS because of just the way the OS is baked for the hardware. Now, the 950, even though it's running the same software as the 950XL, even though it's running the same software as the 950, just doesn't feel like it's finished. It really feels half done. So let's just say we forgive the 950XL for its glitchy store and the battery life. That still doesn't move me past the fact that the camera isn't good for point and shoot. If you have the know-how to really customize it, and if you're a Lumia user for a long time, you will have that. But when you want to pull your phone out really quick and take a photo of something, the fact that it has that physical button and you can kind of snap quick doesn't matter because the photo's likely going to be blurry. For whatever reason, in low light or medium light, there is a certain amount of shake, right? Even though it does that kind of live view where it tightens things up, it's just in low light everything just feels a little bit unclear. So Windows fangirl or not, there is just too many things for me to forgive on this handset. I am so curious to check out the 950 to see if I have a different experience. I believe that I will, just based on all the reviews that I've read online. So I'm your host, Nicole Scott from Mobile Geeks, reviewing the Microsoft Lumia 950XL. Leave me a comment if you've had a similar experience.